What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Patty, and I appreciate you stopping by today. There's a lot of faces in the world, and you spend some time with this one. Thank you. Alright, so we're here to look at the core, which has been one of the most confusing things to try and pick up in the game, because they kind of just randomly throw a gem at you at one point, and they're like, okay, here you go. Here you go. Here's the whole core system. Have fun. So first things first, before we start getting into the stats and the gems and everything like that, let's take a look at the colors on the core itself. So each side, you should be starting to notice, has a certain color in the lines leading out to the where all of the gems are placed. So it's safe to assume that that's what these different tabs are essentially saying. So we've got the fire side, the water side, and the wind side. Obviously, green gems can go all over the wind side, blue gems can go all over the water side, red gems can go all over the fire side, and yellow gems can go all over the earth side. So next thing to understand past that is if you're looking at a certain side and you're trying to gear it out over here, depending on what sides you're having to correspond with, will basically let you know which ones you can actually equip in that slot. So that helps in trying to maximize, because not all of the gems are going to be useful to you. So real quick, let's because again, like, if we unsocket the water gem, you can see how it goes dark up there. If you're having trouble figuring out where your gems are going on this side, that can kind of help out, but it doesn't translate great. And things you would think, like, so that we can see that there are 3 gems going down this side, right? Okay, they're broken up over here. So, you know, we should see a similar thing with, and the yellows are kind of broken up. And one of the greens is up in the top corner. Okay. So this one and this one are in top corners, but one of the red gems for down here is one of these 3. Makes sense, right? Yeah. Don't try to make this weird triangle make sense along with the grid box. You'll get a little confused, but as you're equipping gems and you're wondering, oh, why can't I put the color that I want here? I want to, go all red gems. Well, you're only going to be able to do that on sides where red is touching. So you'll be a little limited there. So that kind of roughly covers how the shape of it work, how the gems kind of correspond over here, in which case it's very hard to understand the pattern there. But just understanding how this thing all works together helped me when I started actually filling this out, because, we used a couple of diamonds from the $15 pack to go ahead and get all that sorted out. I regret nothing. So real quick, let's go ahead and jump into these slides. So the gems are going to mean something different for everybody, and the big reason I waited a little while to try and get this guide out is I wanted to have something for all the classes so that we could kind of go through and see which stats are good for what. So let's just roll straight into that with the Blade Master. So Constitution puts 1 point, adds 400 HP, physical defense by 2, magic defense by 2, crit res by 2. With Blade Master, you can build them as a tank, or you can build them as DPS. If you're building your Blade Master for DPS, Constitution isn't going to be your friend. None of these substats are really going to be anything you care too much about unless you've already gotten to where you want damage-wise and are starting to try to add in survivability. So that's the only time that would come back in my opinion. But strength, we see, puts in HP by 120, physical attack by 5, AP by 2. That's kind of cool. Intellect does almost absolutely nothing. You see how everything else here has multiple things after it? Yeah, this has ones to kind of just nudge in, like, hey, you don't need to be a smart Blade Master. You don't need that intellect, buddy. So dexterity, 1 point adds HP by 240. Physical attack. Hold on, I can actually move this right here so that I'm not looking at the other monitor. Ha! All right, physical attack by 2, crit by 4, multi-strike by 4. Multi-strike is one of those good stats that once you start getting into like the 50s and 60s, you start noticing that damage. It's really really impactful. And then ins is actually inspiration. Found that out earlier today. 1 point adds HP by 240, physical attack by 2, AP by 4, and cooldown reduction by 4. That is not crit damage or anything like that. That is cooldown reduction, which if you're tanking is going to be really important. I would say inspiration and dexterity switch if you're trying to go for more damage with your Blade Master. As far as, you know, how you should do each and every single one of your gems and how many of this color, how many of this color. Sorry guys, I don't have that info, but knowing how these stats work and how they're going to impact should be all you need to start doing it, because you're obviously not going to have the most optimal setup from get-go. So having this will at least give you a good idea of what things you want to lean towards when you can, and what stuff, you know, you're just trying to fill a slot, because you have to get all the slots filled and then up to certain levels to start getting bonuses. For instance, I've gotten the level 7 bonus, and then I'm waiting to get level 10 so that I can get river sticks on my weapon. It'll be great. I'm super excited. We're not getting that anytime soon. Oop. I actually forgot that you couldn't see any of that, and that was all on the other screen. My bad. Let me show you real fast what I was talking about. Sloppy boy. So right here, I've got the level 7 one activated already. And my next, it'll show you what your next tier is in this second box. Next one is when I get everything to 10. This is the bonuses I'll get to everything, and then I'll get the weapon effect river sticks. That'll be super, super cool. Let's go ahead and jump back to this. So that more or less, in my opinion, covers what we're trying to go over in this guide. Is just kind of give you an idea of what all the stats are, which ones we think are going to be more important depending on how you're playing the character. Another thing that you want to consider is if you are going to play a second class once you get further along and unlock that ability, your core is going to stay the same between the two classes. So in that case, you might want to weigh in, what am I going to make the second class, and then how much is that going to impact my core? And, you know, you could choose to pick another class that is going to go very well with the same core you have already. That way you're not really having to try to gear for two things. But just to put that on your radar, if you plan on doing a second class with your character, your core stays the same between them. So just to let you know, Bill, just looking out for you. Alright, so Gunslinger's Constitution 1 point adds 400 of HP. Physical defense by 2, magic defense by 2, crit riz by 2. Strength 1 point adds HP by 120, physical attack by 5, AP by 2. Intellect, not a great one for them. Dexterity is 1 point adds 240 HP. Physical attack by 2, crit by 6, multi-strike by 2. Obviously, this is going to be the main one for gunslingers. They don't use intellect really at all. Inspiration could be potentially. Inspiration's better than intellect, but I would still stick to either strength or dexterity, and then constitution when you need to start looking for survivability stats. Yeah, in a few places you might have to, you know, drop a water gem and everything, but it's not going to be the worst thing in the world. So Soul Dancers, changing up a little bit. They're using that inspiration. 1 point adds HP by 400, physical defense by 2, magic defense by 2, crit res by 2. I feel like that is on here and for the Gunslinger just because they're squishy and they like to die a lot. Intellect is the main stat, of course. 1 point adds 120 of HP. Magic attack by 5. Multi-strike by 2. Dexterity, again, is throwing out these big, beautiful numbers. 1 point adds HP by 240. Magic attack by 2. Crit by 4. Multi-strike by 4. Inspiration, 1 point adds HP by 240, magic attack by 2, AP by 2, and cooldown reduction by 6. Inspiration all day. Being able to heal and having your heals available to you more frequently is a huge thing. So inspiration should be your main focus there. Intellect is also gonna be one of your big spenders, so you should be doing a lot of red and blue in your course, sir. Again, Constitution, I would worry about secondary or when you have to fill one of those gems. Go ahead and toss that in there, but wherever you absolutely can, definitely go for Intellect and Inspiration for these guys. So now to the one that I'm actually somewhat familiar with, and you'll see in a minute that I've actually like shuffled stuff around a little bit more, and these numbers have changed a bit on my main. But Constitution is 1 point of HP by 400, physical defense by 2, magic defense by 2, crit res by 2. Strength, again, not bring a lot of table. Essentially, Blade Masters right now are the only ones that get real modifiers when it comes to strength, and it's just a little bit more attack. That's all they get thrown. Man, strength is really getting flexed on by all the other stats. That's rough, guys. Alright. But Intellect for these guys does HP by 120, magic attack by 5, multi-strike by 2. Dexterity adds HP by 240, magic attack by 2, crit by 4, and multi-strike by 4. Inspiration is HP by 240, magic attack by 2, AP by 4, CDR or cooldown reduction by 4. So I will let you guys know from experience. I thought cooldown reduction might be a little bit more useful with all of the skills that the assassin between their two forms can go through. No, we put a lot of blue gems in places initially, and after a little bit of testing and a little bit of face palming, that crit damage rate isn't that great. You really do want dexterity. It's not joking, but it's mostly for the multi-strike. So multi-strike is the most important substat for assassins. I wish I knew what the most beneficial was for all the other ones, but the game straight up tells you in your assassin stats that multi-strike is your bread and butter, is what you need to have the most of. So that is really impactful, and the crit is just nice too. I'm not gonna lie, that's not too terrible at all. So let me go ahead and, with having looked at that, see if it makes a little bit more sense why we geared things the way that we did. Hold on, let me switch back over to Alright, so knowing that we want to optimize as many red runes and as many green runes in places as we can, feel like we did a pretty good job with that, basically wherever we could. What side are we here? So we're on the water side here, and you don't see a single water gem. We don't need a single water gem here. We took the Constitution where we had to, and honestly, this one we can kind of replace if I had... I don't think I have any other level 7s right now. Yeah, so you're staying right now at a default, buddy. But you're soon going to be replaced. This one can be any of those three. So that's the nice thing about the corner pieces, is they have a little bit more flexibility. And they're tucked in different places when we get back to the little hexagons, so it can be very confusing. So we know that one's top again. Let's just see. Okay. So that was not the bottom of either side, but just the middle there. It's the middle there. So wait, are these top three all the, okay. Let's look at that on the next one real fast. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so the top three are the corners. Confirmed. Huh. Then which one matches with that? Right there. Okay. Huh, look at that, guys. We just figured out how the crazy grid system actually works. These three top are the corner pieces, and then they go 2, 2, 2. All right. Awesome. That's a great guide. The guide was so good, I learned something. That's beautiful. That's content right there. All right, guys. I've actually already started leveling a couple of other alts, so I have some hand-on experience with all the classes and everything. Let me know if there's any other systems in the game that you have some, hard questions with. I know the core is one of the more difficult ones, and I definitely want to revisit this and potentially do one specific for each class. But obviously, I want to get all the classes up before I want to try and do all that. Thank you, phone. Alright, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate your faces. I'm going to catch you in the next one. Let me find that record button. Alright, y'all. Deuces.